When you look through 19th century city records, especially from Europe, Russia, and North America, one pattern appears again and again that is rarely discussed in modern history. Between roughly 1870 and 1895, dozens of cities invested large amounts of public money into the construction of monumental statues placed in central squares, government districts, and major civic spaces. These were not decorative ornaments. They required council approval, architectural planning, skilled artisans, imported materials, and public ceremonies. Newspapers reported on their unveiling. Mayors and officials attended. Committees were formed to oversee their installation. In every normal case from this period, monuments were created to preserve names. They honored founders, military leaders, scientists, engineers, politicians, and industrial figures. And their inscriptions usually included full biographies, dates, and detailed explanations of why the individual deserved public recognition. But in this specific group of monuments, something is missing. Instead of names, many of them carry only professional titles. The architect, the engineer, the scholar, the physician, the navigator. No birth records, no death records, no institutional affiliation, no historical context. Nothing that would allow future generations to identify who these people actually were. This is not a minor irregularity. In the administrative culture of the 19th century, this kind of omission was extremely unusual. Governments at the time were obsessed with record keeping. Permits, taxes, censuses, contracts, and correspondence were documented in obsessive detail. Even minor public works projects generated large paper trails. So the idea that cities would repeatedly commission expensive monuments without recording whom they were honoring does not fit with how these governments actually operated. The usual explanation offered by historians is that these statues were symbolic, meant to represent ideals such as learning, science, medicine, or progress, rather than real individuals. On the surface, this sounds reasonable. Allegorical statues were common in the 18th and 19th centuries. Figures like Lady Justice or Liberty were used to represent abstract concepts. But when these anonymous monuments are compared directly with known allegorical statues from the same period, the differences are obvious. True allegorical figures are stylized. Their clothing is timeless. Their facial features are generic. Their poses are theatrical and symbolic. They are clearly meant to represent ideas, not people. The anonymous professional monuments do not follow this pattern. They display realistic facial proportions, individualized expressions, and clothing that corresponds to specific historical decades. Textile historians can often date the garments within a range of 20 or 30 years. The tools and instruments depicted are also period-specific and technically accurate. These are portraits, not symbols. They represent real individuals who lived in specific eras. When researchers examine municipal archives related to these monuments, another anomaly appears. Expense reports are usually preserved. Sculptor contracts are preserved. Invoices for materials are preserved. Programs for dedication ceremonies are preserved. Newspaper announcements are preserved. What is missing are the documents that explain why the monument was commissioned in the first place. Committee discussions, selection records, biographical justifications, naming debates, recommendation letters. These files are consistently absent across multiple countries, across multiple archives, across different political systems. This pattern cannot be explained by random loss. Random damage produces chaos. This produces uniformity. Dating inconsistencies deepen the problem. Many of these monuments were officially installed in the late 19th century, yet their sculptural techniques correspond closely to earlier neoclassical methods from the early to mid-1800s. This is not a matter of artistic nostalgia. The carving methods, surface treatments, and compositional principles match earlier workshops. This suggests either that dozens of sculptors across continents were inexplicably trained in obsolete methods, or that many of these monuments were created earlier and later installed under new documentation. The second explanation fits the evidence more closely. City council minutes from the early 20th century reveal another disturbing pattern. Some monuments were quietly altered. Plaques were replaced. Inscriptions were removed. Figures were modified. Pedestals were rebuilt. In some cases, entire statues were dismantled. The official language is always neutral. Updated, adjusted, removed, repositioned. No justification is provided. No public debate is recorded. No explanation is preserved. Taken together, the evidence points to a coordinated practice. During a narrow historical window, cities across multiple continents publicly honored technical and intellectual figures whose identities were deliberately withheld. Their likenesses were preserved. Their contributions were acknowledged, but their names were erased. This is not how societies normally remember their builders. It is how societies preserve memory while preventing investigation. The most important detail is that this practice ends abruptly after the 1890s. New anonymous monuments stop appearing. Cities return to naming individuals. The system disappears, which suggests that by that point, the purpose had been fulfilled. Witnesses were gone. Archives had been reorganized. Educational narratives had been standardized. The transition was complete. What remains today are monuments without biographies, achievements without authors, and infrastructure without builders. Not because no one knew, but because someone decided future generations should not know. When you begin searching for the people behind major 19th century buildings, you expect to find incomplete records, maybe some missing paperwork, maybe damaged archives, maybe a few forgotten names. What you do not expect is near total absence. Across different countries, languages, and political systems, the same pattern appears. Large public buildings exist. Courthouses, libraries, rail stations, universities, hospitals, government halls. They required advanced planning, skilled labor, and technical knowledge. But the people who designed and built them are often missing from history. Not unknown, missing. Take almost any major building from the 1800s. You will usually find the year it was completed, the government in power, the dedication ceremony, the names of politicians. But very often, you will not find the lead architect, the engineering team, the master builders, the planners. These were massive projects. They required thousands of workers, surveying systems, logistics networks, and precise calculations. They could not have been built without highly trained specialists. Yet in the official record, those specialists vanish. Sometimes their names appear briefly in early documents, then disappear in later versions. Sometimes they are mentioned in newspapers, but not preserved in archives. Sometimes they are referenced vaguely as the former engineer or the previous architect, without identification. In many cases, there is nothing at all. No biography, no portrait, no professional record, no personal history, as if they never existed. This becomes even stranger when you examine professional institutions. By the late 1800s, architecture schools existed, engineering societies existed, scientific journals existed. These organizations kept detailed records. They documented minor disputes, membership lists, meeting minutes, and lecture schedules. But when it comes to the builders of major infrastructure, silence. No graduation records, no employment histories, no correspondence. The people who supposedly created modern cities leave no trace in the institutions designed to document them. That is not normal. In every other era of history, skilled builders are remembered. Medieval cathedral architects are known. Renaissance engineers are known. Industrial inventors are known. But during the largest construction boom in history, the builders become anonymous. That makes no sense. The problem grows when you look at technology. During this period, complex systems appear suddenly. Heating systems, ventilation systems, water networks, structural reinforcement, surveying methods. They are implemented at scale before clear inventors are identified. Sometimes patents appear decades later, claiming credit for techniques already in use. Sometimes no patent exists at all. The technology simply appears, becomes standard, and is never questioned. Then there are the personal disappearances. In archives, You find references to individuals involved in major projects who vanish. A chief surveyor mentioned in an 1870 report, gone a few years later. A master mason credited in planning notes. No later records. An engineer cited in correspondence. No death certificate. No retirement file. No migration record. Nothing. These people do not move. They do not retire. They do not leave traces. They disappear from documentation. This is not explained by war, not by disease, not by migration. There are no matching refugee records, no population collapse, no mass graves. The timelines do not fit. At the same time, new names appear. Administrators, officials, historians, educators, people who did not build the systems, people who inherited them. They write the reports, they publish textbooks, they manage archives, and the original creators fade out. Sometimes the erasure is visible, old plaques replaced, inscriptions removed, buildings reattributed to state projects. What were once personal achievements become collective progress. No author, no responsibility, no history. This explains the anonymous monuments. They are not symbolic, they are controlled memory. They admit that someone existed, but they refuse to say who. You are allowed to know that an architect existed. You are not allowed to know his name. You are allowed to honor an engineer. You are not allowed to study his work. It preserves contribution while blocking investigation. Some monuments were altered or removed for this reason. Those that contained maps, instruments, or technical references were dangerous. They connected people to real systems. Those details were erased. What remained was safe and neutral. By the early 1900s, the process was complete. The builders were gone. The archives were edited. The monuments were reinterpreted. A new generation grew up believing that cities simply appeared, that progress was automatic, that no creators were required. But civilizations do not work that way. And they are built by people. And when the people are missing, something has been hidden. So the real question is no longer, why are the monuments nameless? The question is, what happened to the people whose names were removed? Because when builders disappear, they are never alone. Entire communities vanish with them.